Michael Jordan misses, John Stockton gets the rebound and does a full court pass to Karl Malone. I'm finna pass on his body. I'm John Stockton. If you don't think that this is like the utmost genius in lyricism, you heard Kendrick's diversified lyricism because he brought us 5 distinct diss tracks, each having their own sound. Today, we're going to be talking about the best lines from Not Like Us, their breakdown, and how they went for Drake's jugular. This was truly the victory song and the song that showed Drake up and showed the world that Kendrick was going to bring out all of his sides in the battle: lyricism, storyteller, and hitmaker, along with uniting the West Coast at the same time. Not Like Us is not only filled with strong accusations against Drake and his team, it's filled with entendres, wordplay, puns, and cultural significance with references to California, sports heroes, sports vernacular, and even wrestling. Kendrick did not let up on Drake one single bit. He opened up his pop-out concert in Inglewood, California with Euphoria, my favorite track, and he ended with Not Like Us playing it 6 freaking times. And twice, he stopped at the A minor bar and held it for what I think were minutes. Let's get into the best lines of Not Like Us, the last song to drop in the battle from Kendrick, which we all know Drake didn't follow up on it too well. All right, the first line. Hey, mustard on the beat, ho, Deebo, any rap, homie, he a free throw. So the mustard name drop to me was such a great way to start the song because of the damage Kendrick already did with Euphoria, 616 in LA, and Meet the, too many. But it was Kendrick's way of saying, notice I said we. It's not just me. I'm what the culture feeling. And it was the line that made Ack, who was one of the biggest Drake fans, lose his mind. Mustard produces music for YG, who Drake name dropped in Family Matters as being on his side, who after the beef dropped his own sort of like sub diss on Drake called Weird. And Mustard also produced for Ty Dolla $ign, and he actually had a set on Kendrick's pop-out concert. So you know from the jump that you have a fire producer on the track. And it's a response, I think, to Drake's Woo Kid name drop in Push-Ups. Woo Kid. Now where we got Kendrick hit him with Euphoria, hit him with lyricism, now he's hitting him with a banger. Hey, mustard on the beat. Then he rhymes ho with Deebo. Any rap dude here, free throw. Drake is never going to live down. Hey Kendrick, make sure when you come back, you hit me with a quadruple entendre. He's talking to the wrong person. Here comes the entendre for Drake. Deebo representing, I think, 2 people. Deebo Samuels, a wide receiver on the San Francisco 49ers. Notice, still the California reference. Then Deebo from Friday, the bully played by Tommy Lister from the movie Friday, which was also produced by Compton OG producer rapper Ice Cube, which takes place in South Central LA. Super witty and super poetic, and again, just holding down that West Coast vibe. Kendrick goes on to make the throw references that any rapper to him is a free throw, which references, I think, both football with Deebo Samuels as the wide receiver and basketball. Deebo, a wide receiver, right, typically goes far and catches like crazy far throws, and Drake also being a free throw to Kendrick, like in basketball. And a free throw, as we know, is what you get after you're fouled in basketball, which suggests that Drake fouled against Kendrick. So now Kendrick is doing a free throw. And that's not the only time Kendrick mentions the word foul. He mentions it later. I'll get to that later in the track. So throwing Drake in the net and scoring on him. I love the sports references. Intertwines both football and basketball at the same time. All right, number 2. Man down, caller Amber Lambs. Tell him, breathe, bro. Nail a homie to the cross. He walk around like Teezo. All right, I know let's get to this line because when we heard Teezo, people are like, what? Man down is first I'll start with the man down. Typically a phrase used in the military or just video games or just in general when someone drops suddenly from a harmful impact. He's saying Drake is down, let's give him some tips to breathe. Breathe, bro. A Man Down is also a song by Rihanna on her album in 2010. Rihanna is typically intertwined with Drake in references because of their on and off romantic relationship, which, the public knows about. What's interesting is that the song Man Down by Rihanna tells the story of a woman who shoots a man in a moment of intense emotion and then grapples with the consequences of her actions. Where Rihanna starts a song, I didn't mean to end his life, what started out as a simple altercation turned into a real sticky situation. And she also sings several times, oh mama, mama, I just shot a man down. She goes on to say, I pulled out the gun, pum, man down. I love this because it practically depicts the beef very well. Not that their beef was simple, but it grew over a period of time, and it was time for Kendrick to go for the kill shot. These references are just insane for them to be there hidden in there. Then the word amber lamps is just a regional dialect, right? Joke, a wordplay of the word ambulance, and just a humorous way to say it, especially because we know Kendrick knows how to say the word ambulance, but amber lamps is a dialect way of saying it. But there's also an old viral video with a strange encounter on a bus in, guess what? Oakland, California. Kendrick, you're crazy. Where a black man and an old white man, who's the old guy is actually 67 years old, get into like a verbal argument. And if you watch the video, a lot of people don't really understand what the argument's about. It's very random. But the video is sometimes called Epic Beard Man Bring Amber Lamps, because the old guy has a beard. So the old guy moves to the front of the bus to avoid the confrontation after they're arguing. But then the dude with the braid continues to instigate and follow him. And again, this could be another kind of like play on Drake being, with the braids. So he attacks the old guy, but then suddenly the old guy, this senior citizen, goes off on him. He goes straight Mike Tyson on him. And the dude with the braid just starts bleeding. And when the old guy gets off the bus, the other guy goes to the back to sit down. And when someone asks if he's all right, he says, "No, bring the amber lamps." So it's just a crazy, a very old viral video, but who knows for sure what Kendrick's talking about, but these are all the kind of references that are out there. Then he goes on to say, "Nail a homie to the cross, he walk around like Teezo." How many references can Kendrick have on a one freaking bar? Damn, this line goes so hard. It starts off with a depiction of crucifying Drake the way it was done in biblical times, putting him on a cross. But then he comes with the metaphors. Teezo Touchdown is a rapper and singer that came out in 2023. Not very well known, but Drake actually did features with Teezo on his For All the Dogs album. He's the one who sings "Dogs Will Be Dogs" in 7969 Santa. And he's also in the very popular Drake song on the album called Amen. One single search of Teezo Touchdown shows Teezo with the style of nails, like actual nails hanging all over his hair and head. It's a crazy look, but what a line. References to Rihanna, Man Down, the viral video, and Teezo, who Drake worked with. Headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk. Apparently the metal helmet isn't enough for Drake, because Kendrick got the nails smashed in Drake's head by the time Not Like Us dropped, like Teezo Touchdowns look. Was also featured in. It's crazy. Number 3. What's up with all these jabroni ass dudes trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me. F them all in their mama. Let's get to the word jabroni. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, unless y'all tell me in the comments if this is something that y'all use, but to me, this is definitely a word that right now is not necessarily used, but I think it will be at this point because Kendrick revived it. Jabroni is a word originally used and popularized in wrestling and started being used more in the early 90s. Many people credit it to the wrestler and the actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but The Rock credits this old wrestler named Iron Sheik. The old wrestler was the first one to use the word. Jabroni generally just means like a loser or a foolish person, used in a mocking way. The Iron Sheik used to call all his opponents jabronis. Then The Rock made it even more popular and brought it back. And some describe jabronis as the people who are set to fight against a famous wrestler and lose on purpose in order to make the main wrestler look better. Not that this was all intentional, but damn, it's kind of exactly what happened. Drake took the loss and just made Kendrick look so much better. Not that Kendrick wasn't looking better, because he already was. So here, Kendrick is calling Drake a jabroni, which is just damn funny. What's up with these jabroni ass dudes trying to see Compton? Kendrick is asking what's up with these dudes and is showing that he's gonna go in and care less how the industry takes it. Number 4. How many ops you really got? I mean, there's too many options. Who doesn't love his vocal inflections? One is, you can say Kendrick is speaking highly of himself, or is he dissing Drake instead? When I first heard the line, it sounded like Kendrick was saying, we all got ops and there's too many to get at, but I'm gonna get at you, Drake. But then you hear the second line, I'm finna pass on his body, I'm John Stockton. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Crazy bar. But this hints that the deeper message is referencing how Drake has so many ops, which we found out from the Metro Boomin album. Kendrick, Metro, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, The Weeknd. You have so many opponents, including me, my guy. So there's just too many people that hate you. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm finna pass on his body. I'm John Stockton. Oh my God. Let me just take a sip of water. What a cold line and way to disrespect Drake. John Stockton may not be very known right now, but this line wasn't clear to me at first listen. But after you go back and understand this line, it's ice cold. So who is John Stockton? John Stockton is a legendary point guard basketball player for the Utah Jazz, known to be one of the best passing point guards in basketball history, especially known for passing to his teammate Karl Malone, who would typically score. And he was also considered short for a basketball player, another player. I mean, he was like 6'1", they say, but you know how it goes. It's basketball. So more notably, what I think this line is referring to is in 1997 Game 4. I mean, these are in the NBA Finals. Stockton gets the rebound after Michael Jordan misses and makes an epic full court pass to Karl Malone, who scores. Kendrick is saying, you have so many ops. Now I'm through with you. I'm just gonna pass this body, aka you, Drake, to another op to handle. I'm John Stockton. If you don't think that this is like the utmost genius in lyricism, this was an incredible line, and I consider it a response to Drake's big difference between Mike then and Mike now, and all of Drake's short jokes combined, referencing Mike Jordan, or was it Mike Jackson? I think it was, that line was about Jordan. What a way to flip both. Michael Jordan misses, John Stockton gets the rebound and does a full court pass to Karl Malone. I'm finna pass on this body. I'm John Stockton. Super witty, not only because John Stockton was one of the best passers and considered relatively short for the NBA, but one of the best passes as a defensive rebound from a Michael Jordan missed shot. Number 6, beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. I love this line because it brings out Kendrick's light and dark side. Like, if you know Kendrick, he always has this like good and evil. Like when he talks, a lot of his music brings up both sides. I'm gonna whoop you and try to hide the Bible since God's watching, so that I don't do it in front of something holy. He juxtaposes something violent, right, whooping you, with something holy, like God and the Bible. The line hits because it's surprising when you put them together. It reminds me of the movie There Will Be Blood. If anyone saw that movie, where the character Daniel Plainview, the oil mogul, was in constant conflict with Eli, a pastor. But in the movie, they both seem to have bad intentions and were always trying to one-up each other, right? So there was this like kind of like good and evil side being played. Kendrick acknowledges committing a sin, but also shows awareness to moral authority, which we know of Kendrick in previous music. But this time, he shows just how much he hates Drake, that he knows God is watching, but he has to beat his ass and then at least try to conceal his sin from the moral authority. Just an amazing play on words. Number 7, sometimes you gotta pop out and show him. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that upped the score with him. It's such a simple line, but it just hits because Kendrick typically makes rare appearances, because Kendrick has always been the type to be on his own type of time. In some cases, having a 5-year break between album releases, not doing many interviews, and being super low key. But sometimes you have to pop out, and here he shows the element of surprise, which he truly had. When Euphoria came out of nowhere, it truly was surprising. People were like, oh my God, Kendrick's actually gonna respond? Forget this. So sometimes you just gotta pop out. Pop out is also just a slang for coming out suddenly, right? It's also the name of his Juneteenth 2024 concert called Pop Out. Upping the score is just a way to assert Kendrick's dominance. This phrase also has an origin in sports, where when you're definitely winning, you keep upping the score. You win. You don't stop whipping the defending team. You just keep scoring on them. Kendrick is saying, no one can really do this except me. I'm the one to up the score. I'm the one to beat Drake, and I'm going to continue whooping him. And it's pretty poetic because before Not Like Us, it was already very clear that Kendrick dominated Drake from Euphoria, 616 in LA, and definitely after Meet the Grams, people were losing their minds. Like Meet the Grams was already the nail in the coffin. And then the next damn day, Not Like Us drops, comes out, and it sounds like the best song of the entire beef. And you're just like, holy. Here, Kendrick ups the score on Drake, beating him while he's down. Number 8, walk him down a whole time. I know he got some hoe in him. Pull on him. Extort shit, bully, death row on him. Walk him down is a way to say he is relentlessly hunting Drake down. But he knows of Drake's bad deeds, that he may have a gun on him, and known to extort people and be a bully. After all, Drake says in Family Matters, referencing The Weeknd, he said, I almost started reaching for my waist, drop. And I remember being like, reaching for my waist. Kendrick is saying death row on him, which seems to be a double entendre. How I see it, when all these alleged crimes catch up, if they're true, he'll be on death row, play on that. And the second, Death Row Records, the label, is now on Drake's ass for the usage of the Tupac AI. Ironically, Death Row Records is now owned by Snoop Dogg, who Drake also used AI to imitate Snoop's voice and tailor-made. Go figure. Number 9, say Drake, I hear you like him young. You better never go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. We all know the many allegations, one with the video of Drake kissing the 17-year-old on stage and allegedly texting, I just say allegedly, I don't know all the details, the Millie Brown stuff, right? The stuff came out, but I just want to be super careful. Texting Millie Brown, the star of Stranger Things, when she was a teenager. She says her text, like she texts Drake and at the time, and it's all about life and giving her advice about boys, which many people, just felt was strange. Like, what's your relationship with a young girl giving advice? Unless like that young girl is like your niece or something, or your daughter. Cell block 1 just being the name of an area in prison, most likely a really dangerous one, where people in prison are known to not like someone who's in jail for PDF or RP charges. So in a sneaky way, Kendrick is calling Drake out. You better not go to jail, buddy, because they'll find out about you. Super sneaky, like way to hit him with the accusation. And then the line, if you like him, hide your sister. It just makes you feel someone just must be a super creep, like a predator, to go out with a girl and then try to get with the sister too, like super low down. Number 10, they tell me Chubbs the only one that gets your hand-me-downs and party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baka got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified PDFs. I don't know why Party called a mad crazy stray. I don't know, man. Like, all this stuff makes you wonder. I don't know enough about Party. There was one drug incident with Party, so I don't know if he's talking about plastic surgery with Party or playing with your nose, meaning doing the wrong stuff, right, with your nose. But he did have a situation where he was caught with something. Chubbs, what I think he's referencing here is that Drake potentially gives Chubbs his hand-me-downs, and maybe Chubbs is not, what he's suggesting is that he's not a real friend, just there for all the benefits, and that Drake maybe hands down the women that he finds. And in the song Six God off of the Drake album, he says, I'll admit it. I got one girl and she my girl and nobody else can hit it. She'll admit it. She ain't effing with you dudes. And just like every single other thing in my life, you can have her when I'm finished. These are very typical lines of Drake, like known to be talking about women, how much he loves them, but how much you want to pass them down and all this kind of stuff. And Baka Not Nice has a case. And we hear Drake say, I might declare it a holiday as soon as Baka get back out on the road. Here Kendrick is playing on all this stuff and saying, hey Drake, hey Chubbs, I know you don't want to get the hand-me-downs. Hey Party, I know what you're doing. Hey Baka, I know what you're doing. I don't know why, Drake, you got all these weirdos around you. And he's referencing cases. I'm not saying, this is what Kendrick is saying. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can look into that. I don't want to look into that stuff that much, but this is what we all see. Number 11. Wop, 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 dot, F them up, wop, wop, I'm gonna do my stuff, and so on. Craziness in the concert. The actual cameraman cuts the wop, wop, wop in different angles. It's crazy. And when he said it, I remember hearing this line. I literally felt like it was a whipping. Like it was a belt. Like the way he said it just sounded like if you ever take a belt and smack it against like a piece of wood or something, it like the leather against the wood that's the sound that he gives off, like as if he's whipping Drake with a belt with each wop. I personally just love Kendrick's vocal, inflections and like the way he moves his voice. And again, the onomatopoeia, wop, wop, wop. It's crazy. Number 12. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. And he goes on. This is the climactic bar of the whole beef, of the song, of everything. When I heard this line, like everyone else, I was in awe and shock. Like how Kendrick created such a climactic bar with such a massive accusation that was already kind of building up. The ultimate pun and double entendre. But I like this part. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? It sounds a lot like Drake in a way, like when you see all of the Instagram captions. And I have to say the Tupac AI tailor-made was truly unmatched trolling. Using Tupac's AI voice as if Drake is ghostwriting for Pac, Kendrick's hero, in order to diss Kendrick, it's truly like an ultimate form of disrespectful trolling, truly. And throughout the beef, you can see Drake show a picture of his son and a red button in Instagram captions, like constantly trolling. Ain't you tired? It's funny because you picture someone trolling to the point of exhaustion, where the trolling is no longer funny, not for the person on the receiving end, and not even for the person trolling anymore themselves. It gives you this vision of someone making fun of someone and nobody's listening anymore. Like, bro, stop. And on to A minor. A chord is a group of notes played together to make a sound. You're trying to play a musical note, Drake. You're trying to play little cute games, but it's probably A minor. meaning the A minor scale or an actual minor. Number 13, they not like us. They not like us. This is one of the smartest moves from Kendrick. And I've already mentioned how in Euphoria, he's already, you could go check out my video about the best lines in Euphoria, distancing Drake, making him seem disconnected from the core audience, from most of us, right? It's not just you, it's not just me, it's we. I'm with the culture feeling. Kendrick comes off as a rapper who's giving. I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to keep it unbiased and fair. As a fan of both Kendrick and Drake's music, that Kendrick comes off as if he's giving you something. He's investing, like he's telling stories, something you can benefit from. Drake does come off as just kind of in it for himself. They not like us is a way of Kendrick saying Drake is not like us, and it unites everybody against him. Michael Jackson also has a song called They Don't Care About Us, which was released in 1995 on his His Story, Past, Present, and Future Book 1 album, a song about social injustice and standing up against oppression. What a way to flip the Michael Jackson metaphor that Drake is constantly using against him. Another play here, when Kendrick separates Drake from the culture, there is some irony because Michael Jackson says in that song, "Don't you black or white me." Perhaps is a reason why Drake associates himself and leans towards Michael Jackson, whose alleged cosmetic surgeries sparked widespread controversy that he himself was distancing himself from the black identity, a claim that Michael Jackson definitely denies. But perhaps these are the connections. Number 14, you think the Bay gonna let you disrespect Pac? I think that Oakland show gonna be your last stop. We all know about the Tupac AI controversy of TaylorMade. Like, a common sentiment though is that using Tupac's voice was crazy disrespectful to the Tupac Shakur legacy himself, to the dead, to everything, to the West Coast, especially to be used in order to disrespect another West Coast artist who idolized Tupac. We do know that reports said that Drake was ordered to take down the TaylorMade freestyle fully within 24 hours and will perhaps be sued for its usage. The Tupac estate said they were deeply dismayed by it, according to Billboard. A show in Oakland seems to be mysterious. This will be crazy if he did have a show in Oakland, but as far as I know, he hasn't had a recent performance in Oakland, and his 2024 tour, he didn't have an Oakland show, and the last date of his tour was April 5th, 2024, right around when Like That dropped. But there are reports of a bunch of dates past April 5th that got postponed, but I couldn't find a show that clearly states Oakland. But some Google searches do show some speculation over a show in Oakland, and I did find a really strange backlink on the Republic Records official website. Title of the link said Drake Oracle Arena, Oakland, which Drake did perform at in the past, but I couldn't open up that page. But this could be just a dig at Drake from Kendrick. Like, if you did perform in Oakland, home of Pac, that will more than likely be your last show ever. Number 15, did Cole foul? I don't know why you still pretending. What is the owl? Bird dudes and bird bitches go. All right, let's talk about this line, did Cole foul? Now, this one is a little tricky because it seems like you really need inside information to figure out what happened. These are going to be all, alleged theories that I have. One was that we all know what happened after, Cole released 7 Minute Drill. He felt bad about it. In his Dreamville concert, he apologized. There are some reports that Drake and his entourage were there and they were supposed to come out, but that Drake left early, supposedly. One thing is that he was supposed to be with Cole, and after Cole kind of maybe apologized, no one knows for sure, but Drake supposedly left the Dreamville Festival. That's one issue. Another potential theory is that Drake maybe sent Cole on a dummy mission. Hey, Kendrick was talking about all of us. We need to kind of get him, maybe egging him on to respond to Kendrick, which later on J. Cole felt bad about. The other thing is that it could be all about the first person shooter, because there isn't other insider information. The first person shooter music video, okay? So there are some reports that, again, allegedly that Drake actually wanted Kendrick as a feature on there. So it would have been the big three fully. It would have been Cole, Kendrick, and Drake on there. And Kendrick declined, but Drake knew that Kendrick declined, but somehow maybe Cole thought that Kendrick was still going to be on there, and that's what he thought. Maybe he made the song about the big three, but then come to find out that it wasn't really about the big three, because then when we get to the second half of the music video, there's this kind of upliftment of Drake, where we know the first half is kind of like Cole and Drake, buddy, it's the big three. And then all of a sudden, there does seem to be, if you check the music video, a second half looks like a really abrupt stop, and it's like a whole other song. And then it's literally just Drake. And he has, like in the video, people with masks on and all that. He's going in, and then he kind of hints that it's only him. It's almost like the Kendrick line, like it's just Big Me. And then he unveils this huge statue that's very similar to the Michael Jackson statue. So he really just makes it about him. Potentially what Kendrick is saying here is that you did Cole foul on that track. You made him think that it was all about the big three, but then you made it about you. And that's why I for sure wasn't gonna be on that track, because I know you. That's another theory. And now imagine if Kendrick did agree to be on that track. Imagine Kendrick, one of the greatest, being on a track, being on first person shooter, Kendrick, Cole, and Drake, and then the second half, all of a sudden, Drake made it about himself and then goes on to show his own statue. I'm leaning towards that theory more. Did Cole foul? I don't know why you still pretending. Number 16, rabbit hole still deep. I can go further, I promise. Ain't that something? B-Rad stands for bitch and you Malibu's most wanted. What a cold diss. It's a comedic reference to B-Rad, played by Jamie Kennedy from Malibu's Most Wanted, a comedy satire where a rich white kid adopts exaggerated behaviors and styles of the hip-hop culture. He wears baggy jeans, talking with slang that's not typically used in Malibu, and it portrays a misguided attempt to fit into a culture that isn't of your own, highlighting cultural appropriation. He's calling Drake B-Rad, a white kid trying to kind of act of another culture. And, you know, it's interesting for Kendrick to label Drake like B-Rad as if he's just a kid trying to fit into a culture that he doesn't really understand or fit in with. And this kind of coincides a bit with Drake's usage of the word slavery and blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, as a way to mock Kendrick, which some may interpret as callous and misguided. What we do know about Drake is that his father is black and his mother a white Jewish woman. There are videos of Drake describing how he always felt out of place as he attended schools that were predominantly Jewish. Someone who's of mixed race with a white parent and a black parent and attended a predominantly Jewish school may experience a set of unique cultural influences, right? And identity challenges. If the person tries to adopt behaviors and styles associated with the black culture in a way that is performative or superficial, it can be seen as a misguided cultural appropriation. That's because they may be trying to connect with a part of their heritage without really fully understanding or respecting its significance. That behavior can come off in a way that promotes stereotypes without honoring the richness of the culture that you're trying to emulate. And this is what it seems like Kendrick is saying about Drake. Number 17, F a caption, want action, no accent, I'm hands on, he F around, get polished. All the wordplay here is insane. We all know Drake is known to troll on Instagram and constantly post stories with little sayings. But Kendrick's entendre hit again with the word hands-on and polished. Damn it, Kendrick, you did it again, bro. In 2023, Drake showed a caption, or there was a photo that released of pink nail polish and another one of yellow nail polish. And when criticized by fans, he made a reply to Lil Yachty, get out my comments. You told me to paint my nails so I can stop biting them. And now the world is being homophobic for the first time since Rich Flex. Which this is kind of ironic, how he claimed homophobia when he was criticized. But in his diss towards The Weeknd in Family Matters, he said, your music gets played where people have more pride, referring to gay people, saying basically like gay people only listen to your music as a dig. The irony. Drake was also seen to flip the middle finger in a couple of Instagram posts during the beef, where some claimed that he was actually wearing nail polish as well there too. So Kendrick, another nice flip. Hands on, get polished. Wiped across the floor, but nail polish. Number 18, F on Wayne girl while he was in jail. That's connivin. Then get his face tatted like a bitch apologizing. I was ready to say cat until I found out that this was true too. Honestly, we keep saying, did Kendrick lie? Like, is Kendrick capping? But every time you do some research, there seems to be some doggone truth to some of it, or a lot of it, or all of it. It would be a lie if Lil Wayne himself didn't say it him damn self. In 2016, Lil Wayne handwrote and published a memoir called Gone Till November, a journal of Rikers Island, where he was journaling while he was incarcerated. And on page 85 of the book, he has a page called As a Man, where he writes, Lil Wayne's words, I woke up still feeling effed up about the effed up day that I had. Hell is what it was. But finding out that she effed Drake was the absolute worst thing I could have found out. As a man, honestly, that shit hurt. And not because it was Drake. It could have been any man, and it would have hurt the same. She said it happened way before we got together, but she just never told me. When Drizzy came to see me, he was like, yeah, it's true. Don't F with her like that, cause I did F her. Damn. At that point, it didn't matter to me when it ever happened because it happened. This is the type of ish that a man never wants to find out while he's locked up, or maybe so, because only God knows what I would have done if I wasn't locked up right now. And then he goes on to say, if it wasn't for his cellmate, he calls him a fat ass, he wasn't gonna let me sit there. He was like, and let's go cook and let's eat. As a man, he says, I'll admit that shit really had me effed up, but hey, F that hoe. Love is blind. That's why I say make sure that bitch is a seeing eye dog. Another one gone. It has a lot of weird points because the claim, at least from the woman, is that it was way before they met. So we know that there was some interaction. According to Lil Wayne, he did mess with his girl. And the claim, at least from the woman, is that it was way before they met. But honestly, it looks to me like Lil Wayne was just finding a way to cope because, like, I don't know. Then the other weird thing is that it seems like, if I'm reading this correctly, Drake never originally owned up to it until asked. When Drake visited him in jail is when Lil Wayne asked him, and then he said, yeah. And then he continues to make fun of the female. Like, yeah, I did, so don't mess with her. Like, somehow, like it's her fault. So why didn't Drake ever mention it prior? Because it sounds like Lil Wayne didn't know until the girl told him, and then he asked him when he came to visit him. Did Drake not know the girl Lil Wayne was liked or was messing with the whole time for him to admit it? Another Kendrick line that seems true. As for the tattoos, right? So then he goes and got his face tatted like a bitch apologizing. Drake unveiled a tattoo of Lil Wayne's face on his left arm about 1 year after Lil Wayne's memoir came out. So Kendrick is saying, you got Lil Wayne's face tatted as a form of apology to Lil Wayne. I don't think things like that can really be forgiven personally, not betrayal amongst a man. As far as a face tattoo on Drake himself, he was spotted with a face tattoo in 2023 by several blogs. Newsweek, page 6, they report that he has something on his eyebrow, a word that says miskeen, which is a transliteration of an Arabic word miskeen, which means like poor lonely soul or poor thing you. Some say in Toronto the Arabic word is used to mean sweet and innocent. The irony. Number 19. I'm glad DeRoz came home. Y'all didn't deserve him neither. From Alonzo down to Central, dude better not speak on Serena. Here, Kendrick Lamar is going in, repping Compton. He refers to DeMar DeRozan, an NBA All-Star basketball player who played for the Toronto Raptors for several seasons, but now back on a U.S. team, the Chicago Bulls. But guess what? DeMar DeRozan is originally from Compton. Another nice reference by Kendrick. And if you saw the concert, you know it's all about the West Coast. The other thing is Serena Williams is also from Compton. So he's kind of like bringing his roots and saying like, yo, don't mess around, Drake. Everybody you're bothering out here and they are from Compton or LA, I'm going to stick up for them. Homie better not speak on Serena. Tennis superstar who had an alleged romantic relationship with Drake in the past, and some beef back and forth happened between Drake and her new husband. In 2022, on his song Middle of the Ocean on Her Loss album, Drake calls out Serena's husband. So she got married after they broke up, and then Drake goes on to try to poke fun at the husband, calling him a groupie or a fan of Drake as a way to mock her and him. Now you see why we'll get to the end of Not Like Us, he a fan. Because here's Drake trying to mock Serena Williams and her husband by saying, I was with you, and you know what? Your husband's a fan of me. Like, how disrespectful. Honestly, sometimes when I see these things, I'm flabbergasted. Anyway, number 20. And your homeboy needs subpoena, that predator moving flocks. That name gotta be registered and placed on neighborhood watch. I lean on you dudes like another line of Wock, yes, all eyes on me, and I'm gonna send it up to Pac. Hey, put the wrong label on me, I'm gonna get him dropped. And on and on and on. Sweet chin, and it won't pass. We'll get to those lines. The delivery of these lines all together have to be the illest delivery I've heard in nearly a decade. The aggressive turn up and then a witty wordplay in every single line that just keeps going up and up and up. Nothing repeated, just a new line to make you think. Let's start off with your homeboy needs subpoena. I lean on you dudes like another line of Wock. Lean, we all know, is a slang reference for cough syrup, and Wock Heart is a pharmaceutical brand that also makes cough syrup, and people reference it for short as Wock. But Kendrick is not saying he's taking it like other rappers, like that he's using it. No, it's a double entendre. Like that lean you always refer to, like that lean, I'm leaning on you all like that. I'm leaning on you, Drake. Just like when someone tries to bully you and they physically just lean on you, like, what are you gonna do about it? It's a test from the bully, right? To either start a fight or see if you're gonna push back. Here, Kendrick is exerting, again, his dominance on Drake. I lean on you, Drake. See what you're gonna do. He wants to bully back what he sees as the bully. And I think in his concert one time when he does the lean, he actually leaned, and it was pretty dope. As for the Predators line, we spoke about it earlier. It seems to be referring to Chubbs, who appears to be Drake's right-hand man and is He shouted out a dozen times throughout Drake's music. In Drake's Chicago freestyle, he says about Chubbs, all good Chubbs will look around, find one that seem my type, that my dog, and he know what I like. He done found me plenty in my life. And that also does seem to coincide with some parts of Meet the Grams where Kendrick is accusing these artists. I don't remember if he specifically says Drake, but in this case, that people have people looking around. And there's actually some videos that surfaced on TikTok of some women who say they were part of those circles where they did have someone kind of direct them to try to get in with the crew of Drake. Number 21. Put the wrong label on me, I'ma get him dropped. Sweet chin music and I won't pass the ox. If you put lies on my name, I will quickly disprove them. And the wordplay on drop and label is crazy. In the music industry, we have music labels like Republic Records, which Drake is on, and they sometimes drop artists who they no longer want to promote or work with. And Kendrick flips that line. Whereas it's typically the label that drops the artist, he uses the line saying, if you put the wrong label on me, I'm gonna get him dropped. I'm gonna drop you. In other words, I'll refute the lies now. Sweet chin music and I won't pass the ox. Holy, the wordplay is pure genius. First, let's get to sweet chin music. What the hell is that? That is a reference for a finishing wrestling move by the wrestler Shawn Michaels from the early 2000s in WWF, where he suddenly sidekicks his opponent in the chin and they get knocked out for an instant victory. Kendrick describing this knockout of Drake like how Shawn Michaels does sweet chin music. It's a nasty kick. It just knocks the person out, which is what he's describing. But the wordplay is even better. Intertwine sweet chin music with actual music that you play in the car. And I won't pass the ox. So you know how when you're with your friends and you want to play music in the car, everyone wants to fight over the aux cable and everyone wants to play their own music from their phones. And metaphorically, an amazing line to be placed in Not Like Us, because this song was truly a knockout blow to Drake, meaning I'll keep going. I'm never going to give you a chance to respond, which is kind of reflective of how Kendrick handled the beef, where Drake basically says in the Heart Part 6, you probably have 10 more, you have 100 more, I'm out. Basically, Kendrick never passed the ox. It was such a great metaphorical line. Number 22. How many stocks do I really have in stock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. Stocks can be business stocks, the stock of a gun, which is the part that helps you stabilize, like the stock of a rifle. Sometimes Bs can be referred to as stocks also, stock Bs. People speculated that Kendrick was referring to more songs against Drake because he counts them down and they seem to coincide. How many stocks do I really have in stock? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that, Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grams, Not Like Us. And how many more do I have? I got 5 more if we keep going. And that's probably why Drake says in the Heart Part 6, you definitely got this shit burnt the hell out. You got 10 more records to drop. Or he says, you could drop 100 more. I'll see you later. Almost like he knows what the deal is. What a witty warning. But ultimately, telling Drake, I got a bunch of shots lined up for you. Like you're in a target. Someone is aiming at you, but no matter what you do, he's saying, there are 5 more shooters pointing at you, Drake. That has to be why Drake walked away, to be honest. 23. Devil is a lie. He has 69 God. Freaky ass dudes need to stay the ass inside. You think he's going to turn down, but he just keeps turning up, saying, devil is a lie. He is 69 God. First, Drake did refer to himself as the 6th God. He has a song called 6th God off the album, If You're Reading This Is Too Late, where he says, I'm the real 6th God, just like that. So there's 2 flips here. Flipping the lines that Drake is not being a 6th God, but a devil, saying you, Drake, are the devil and you act like the devil. So again, really strong, surprising juxtaposition, right? From you saying you're a God to the devil is a lie. And the second flip from 6th God to 69 God, referencing more of a sexual predator. And it is insanely witty because Drake himself claims he's from the 6th, which he refers to as Toronto, but in his song 9 off the Drake Views album in 2016, he says, and I turned the 6 upside down, it's a 9 now. And the lines of Views are very poetic because Drake says leading up to that bar, if they don't have a story these days, they'll make one. Life is always on, man, I never get a break from it. Doesn't matter where I go, I can never get away from it. On to, and I turned the 6 upside down, it's a 9 now. Kendrick flips all those lines on Drake. Number 24, where he says, roll the ass up like a fresh pack of za. City is back up. It's a must, we outside. Beautiful line. It just keeps the delivery going. And we all know za being what you roll up. I don't want to make mention of all these things in my videos, but he's rolling Drake up and smoking him. And City is back up meaning the West Coast, Compton, LA. He's using this as a victory call, a rally of the West Coast, bringing West Coast back. And that's why I think city is back up. It's a must, we outside. Number 25. Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still doubled down, calling us some slaves. Atlanta was the mecca, building railroads and trains. Bear with me for a second, let me put y'all on game. The settlers was using town folk to make them richer. Fast forward 2024, you got the same agenda. Utmost genius. And Not Like Us dropped, I think, on Saturday. Family Matters dropped on Friday, like midnight or something like that. And he referenced the line. It's pure genius to reference stuff that Drake was talking about, that slave line, so quickly. So Kendrick goes on to remind everyone of a history lesson, which many know if you study US history, that colonizers used slaves to build out American infrastructure. He particularly talks about the Atlanta infrastructure that was built by slaves. He will make the connection in the next few bars. You can find a good article by the University of Nebraska and do some basic research. Quote unquote, Southern railroad companies began buying slaves as early as the 1840s and used enslaved labor almost exclusively to construct their lines. Thousands of African Americans worked on the Southern railroads in the 1850s. Railroads began buying hundreds of male slaves between the ages of 16 and 35 as early as 1841. And in the 1850s were either renting or buying quote unquote hands in groups of hundreds. So let's get back to how Kendrick makes the connection with Drake and Atlanta artists in the next few lines. But here, he says, homie still doubled down, calling us some slaves. At first listen, you're like, Drake only said it once, right? But the line in Family Matters, you're like, but what does he mean by double down? What he says double down because Drake used the word slaves, number one, distastefully in Family Matters, but that wasn't even the first time. On the album For All the Dogs, in a song with SZA, actually a TDE artist, called Slime You Out, he says, you got my mind in a terrible place. Whipped and chained you like American slaves. And he's singing this. It's a really ugly, inconsiderate line to be made on a romance song and in general. I mean, I won't, like, we could debate this all day. I don't know who thinks that this is okay. I don't know who feels that, like, these are just distasteful, man. Like, that's why Kendrick is saying, double down. Like, you used this line already. And he already faced backlash for it for this line. So why did he do it again? Are you stupid or oblivious? One tweet even said, where he says, Drake criticism tends to get overblown, is a tweet, and silly on here at times. But man, that slave line really is gross. So laughing my ass off. I think it's the American clarification that really does it. Not that it matters, American or not, but the fact that he specifically said, whipped and chained you like American slaves. Like, he super clear reference. So Kendrick is smart. Everything he's saying is kind of factual here. Like, he did double down. And it makes Kendrick's lines just hit so much harder. Number 26, you run to Atlanta when you need a check balance. Let me break it down for you. This is the real dude challenge. You call Future when you didn't see the club. Lil Baby helped you get your lingo up. 21 gave you false street cred. 2 Chainz said you good, but he lied. You run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. No, you not a colleague. You a effing colonizer. So Kendrick goes on to mention all of the features Drake did with many artists. Future, 21 Savage, Young Thug, 2 Chainz, Quavo. Saying you collaborated with all these people just for your benefit. Just to give yourself more credibility. You didn't do it for the culture. Drake did a lot of songs with all these artists. And Drake did songs with all these artists, especially when they were popping off. Like Future was popping off, collaborated. 21 Savage, popping off, collaborated. Young Thug, Kendrick went on to describe how slaves were used by colonizers to build our infrastructure in the US. Drake uses all these artists. I mean, this is what I'm getting from what Kendrick's saying. I'm not saying that. Drake uses all these artists to build his reputation and credibility, essentially his infrastructure. And how damn witty of Kendrick in the metaphor for Atlanta railroads and trains by going in to mention all of the high profile Atlanta artists Drake collaborated with for features. Number 27. The family matter and the truth of the matter, it was God's plan to show y'all a liar. This was like the last line. And I feel like this whole verse was written after Family Matters because a lot of it seems very relevant. Or he was just a pure oracle or something, knowing what Drake was going to say. Flipping a line that you dropped yesterday in a production song, like a song, like this song is like number one, like how? This was crazy to all of us because Kendrick was dropping back-to-back records and somehow still referencing the previous Drake song. He dropped Family Matters on a Friday and then Meet the Grams that night and then Not Like Us the day after. So it was a crazy back-to-back. And the finalization of the foreshadowing from Kendrick in Euphoria, where he says, try to cease and desist on a Like That record. Oh, what, you ain't like that record? Back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record. And some people was saying that was foreshadowing that Kendrick is gonna do something with the back-to-back that Drake originally did to Meek Mill, and hinting he would do the same, which he did incredibly well, and twice on Drake. And kind of interesting that Drake never actually was able to put that together to be ready for it. Number 28, he a fan, he a fan, he a fan. People like this. Freaky ass dude, he a 69 God. And he keeps going. Again, here comes Kendrick, the comedic lines at the end. He a fan was actually a very nice flip on Drake, because originally it was Drake trying to flip the line back on Future. Because in the Metro Boomin album, We Don't Trust You, Future says in the first song on the album, also entitled We Don't Trust You, hate written all over you, fake written all over you, you a dude #1 fan, dog. Sneak dissing, I don't understand, dog. Pillow talking, acting like a fed, dog. I don't need another fake friend. These were all really cold lines against Drake. Then Drake tries to flip that line on Future in push-up, saying, I can never be nobody #1 fan. Your last #1, I had to put it in your hand, which was a clever flip on Future. Kendrick flips it all right back on Drake, saying these lines, he a fan, he a fan, he a fan. And after you hear all of the references in Not Like Us, you are the fan of all of us. You are the one that's imitating us and our music. Ouch. What a way to further distance Drake from the culture. Number 29. Freaky ass dude, he a 69 God. Keeps going on and on with that. Let me hear you say, oh, V-ho. And he keeps going, then step this way. Step this way. Are you my friend? Another hilarious way to end the song. He does this in Euphoria, where he kind of like, just go, don't speak on my family, Crody. After like all these vicious disses, he comes with the jokes, where I think people are gonna be saying this stuff forever. But here, oh, V-ho. And people were saying this at the concert, the pop-out concert. And it was crazy. Twisting Drake's label from OVO to OVHO. Like a pure comedy sketch. Just a funny way to end the song, where you have people commenting, let me hear you say OVHO, just turning Drake into a song, dance, and meme.